Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm the Hallows Geek, and welcome to This Week in Eek, my weekly series where I put a little eek in your week by recapping some of the top stories in Halloween and horror news from the last week. If you watched last week's episode, it was admittedly toy-heavy. It is, of course, that time of year when Toy Fair New York would have been taking place, and so a lot of our favorite toys and collectibles makers are showcasing their wares online since the convention was canceled again this year. This week is again toy-heavy with a ton of reveals coming out of Trick or Treat Studios this week, but if you stick around, I also have some news around a new Creepshow coffee table book, Elvira comic book, Stranger Things art, a horror video game that's getting a film adaptation, and some exciting SoCal Halloween event news. So let's talk toys. Setting itself apart from some of the other toy and collectibles makers who unveiled their new products last week, Trick or Treat Studios opted for this week to host its Trick or Treat Toy Fair 2022 product reveal event. The Halloween mask and collectibles maker has taken to social media each day this week to unveil new products from franchises like Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Return of the Living Dead, and more. Trick or Treat Studios kicked off the week-long event by debuting its new 1/6 scale Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis figures. The first Michael Myers figure is inspired by the killer in the 1998 film Halloween H2O. The new clothed figure will come with a knife accessory and an additional set of hands. Trick or Treat Studios also unveiled its new Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers figure. The 1/6 scale figure is inspired by the character and his unique appearance in the 2002 film, and will also come with a nice knife accessory and an additional set of hands. And Trick or Treat Studios rounded out its day one reveals by unveiling a 1/6 scale Dr. Loomis figure featuring a likeness of actor Donald Pleasance. The new figure will feature detailed clothing and come with a revolver accessory, and is the perfect companion to Trick or Treat Studios' previously released Halloween or Halloween 2 1/6 scale Michael Myers figures. All three figures will be available for pre-order this summer. And day two of Trick or Treat Studios' product reveals were dedicated to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Trick or Treat Studios is adding not one, but three Leatherface figures to its 1/6 scale action figure line, with figures inspired by the iconic character Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and 3 and the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. The new 1/6 scale line is being built on a brand new custom designed larger body form to give Leatherface the hulking appearance he's known for, and will come with an extra set of hands and highly detailed chainsaw accessory. All three figures will be available for pre-order this summer. And day three's reveals from Trick or Treat Studios are sure to please fans of Hammer horror and late actor Christopher Lee. Trick or Treat Studios is releasing 1/6 scale figures inspired by two of the actor's iconic Hammer horror performances. The first figure announced features the likeness of Lee as the monster in 1957's The Curse of Frankenstein. While no specifics for the figure were announced, the reveal imagery suggests the figure will come with a pair of chains attached to the figure's wrists. Lee also famously played Count Dracula in 7 Hammer horror titles, and Trick or Treat Studios set out to capture the iconic character in its second 1/6 scale figure reveal. Inspired by Lee's many appearances as the Count, the new Dracula figure will come with an alternative head, additional hands, and a detailed costume. Pre-orders for both figures will be available this summer. And rounding out Trick or Treat Studios' announcements thus far, we learned that the 1985 film Return of the Living Dead will also be joining the 1/6 scale line with the addition of the iconic Tarman zombie. The new fully sculpted figure will come with two different heads called Brains and More Brains, and will come packed with its very own snack in the form of a brain accessory. While no specific pre-order date for the Tarman was announced, Trick or Treat Studios did say pre-orders would be opening soon. The Return of the Living Dead reveals didn't end with the Tarman though. Trick or Treat Studios also unveiled a new Trioxin 245 set, which includes a Trioxin barrel complete with Tarman looking through the window in the top of the barrel, the Oneida basement corner to display the barrel, and a split dog accessory. The Trioxin 245 set is expected to be available for pre-order sometime this summer. Alright, that's enough of toy news for now. Let's talk a bit about comic books. It looks like Doctor Strange isn't the only one getting a multiverse this May. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, finds herself trapped in a horror multiverse in a new comic book series from Dynamite. Continuing the story arc from her recently concluded series Elvira Meets Vincent Price, Elvira finds herself trapped in a multiverse of horror movies, where she careens from classic to classic, faced by killers, monsters, and more as she tries to find her way home. The first issue of Elvira in Horrorland will hit comic shops this May, and the cover suggests that the Mistress of the Dark will find herself in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. You can pre-order the book now from your local comic shop, or pick it up through digital platforms like Comixology, Kindle, iBooks, Google Play, and more once it's released. And our next book isn't a comic book, but conveniently it is based on a series that's based on a film that was inspired by the classic EC Comics. This week, AMC announced that its new publishing arm would be releasing a new companion book for the Shudder series Creepshow. Under the working title Shudder's Creepshow From Script to Screen, the new coffee table book from Cartel Entertainment and Creepshow showrunner and executive producer Greg Nicotero brings fans behind the scenes of the acclaimed series with deep dives into its riveting origins, gripping development, provocative production, sinister special effects, and more. The book will reportedly feature a foreword by Metallica's lead guitarist and horror aficionado Kirk Hammett, and an afterword by legendary storyteller Stephen King. While a release date for the book was not provided, it was announced that it will be the first title to be released this year by AMC Networks Publishing. And Shudder wasn't the only streaming service in the news this week. Netflix is back, this time announcing that the location posters released with the Season 4 premiere dates were being made available as wall art as part of its recent partnership with Iconic. The 4 posters represent the 4 locations featured in the upcoming season and include Russia, Hawkins Lab, Creel House, and California. The 4 images were combined to create the Season 4 key art, which is also available as a new wall art canvas. All 5 pieces are available now as 18 by 24 or 30 by 40 framed or unframed museum-grade canvases that range in price from $89.99 to $184.99 via Netflix.shop. And if you're a fan of the Universal Monsters, but you're not a gamer, you might have missed out on the We Will Be Monsters short that was released in the video game Fortnite last Halloween season. This week, the Universal Monsters and Fortnite miniseries continued in-game with the premiere of the remaining 4 episodes in the series. Written and directed by Rick Famuyiwa, and based on the classic Universal Monsters, We Will Be Monsters puts a modern spin on Universal's classic monsters and fights the Bride of Frankenstein, drastically changing the fates of Dracula and Van Helsing, while on a mission to reunite other monsters to resurrect the one the Bride refers to as the best of us. Intrigued? No need to suffer from FOMO. This week, in addition to debuting the remaining episodes in-game, Universal Pictures combined the miniseries into a single short film and uploaded it to their YouTube channel for all to see. The shorts were met with mixed reviews. When I watched it in the game, it was met mid-series with in-game tomatoes being lobbed at the screen, but a quick skim of the YouTube comments seemed fairly positive. As for me, I was indifferent to it. I mean, I could appreciate a modern take on the monsters. I just don't think an action heist movie is the direction I'd take it in. But I appreciate that somebody's at least trying to do something with the Universal Monsters that's, new and kind of modern. In other video game news, open world zombie survival game DayZ turned 10 last month. And as part of the celebration, game developer Bohemia Interactive announced that it had struck a deal with UK production companies Face Fiction Productions and Infinite Wisdom Studios to develop the game into a feature film. The cult classic video game is set in the fictional post-Soviet Republic of Chernaris, where a mysterious plague has turned most of the population into a violent, zombie-like threat. As a survivor immune to the virus, players must scavenge the world for food, water, weapons, and medicine while killing or avoiding the infected. But with only one life in the game, players are forced to do whatever it takes to survive, from stealing supplies to cannibalism. And while players can choose to go at it alone or forge alliances with others, like most zombie survival stories, they are often quick to learn that survivors may pose a greater risk than the infected. Production on the film is expected to begin as early as 2023, with plans for an international cast. And finally, for my SoCal viewers, we got not one, but 2 big Halloween event announcements over the last week. First, Halloween Club announced Spook Show 9. Historically a spring event, Halloween Club announced that for its 9th year, the event would be moved to September. Originally announced for September 24th, Halloween Club has since revised the event date to September 17th. The annual free Halloween event is a Halloween market that brings together vendors ranging from artists to mask makers for an afternoon celebration of all things Halloween and horror. The event will take place at Halloween Club's flagship store in La Mirada, California, with more details on the event expected to be announced soon. And late on Thursday, Midsummer Scream, the world's largest Halloween and horror convention, officially announced its return for 2022. After 2 years off due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the convention will return to the Long Beach Convention Center July 29th through 31st to celebrate its 5th anniversary. Tickets for Midsummer Scream 2022 will go on sale this Saturday, March 5th at 10 a.m. at midsummerscream.org. For a limited time, general admission tickets will be 40% off. VIP Gold Bat Passes will also be available while supplies last, but will not be available at a discounted rate. Guests holding previously purchased tickets from the canceled 2020 Midsummer Scream event will also be able to redeem their tickets at this year's event. For its 5th year, Midsummer Scream will bring back fan favorites like the Hall of Shadows, which will feature haunted attractions from over a dozen home and pro haunters, as well as its world-class presentations. One of which will be Original Monster Kids, which will be an unprecedented gathering of the Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney, and Vincent Price families on stage to share pictures, home movies, and discuss what it was like growing up the children and grandchildren of the most famous horror and pop culture icons of the world. The event show floor will feature over 350 vendors, as well as notable celebrity guests like James Jude Courtney, Jeff Daniel Phillips, and Christine McConnell. For all the early details around this year's event, be sure to check out my full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com or head over to midsummerscream.org. That's it for this week. As always, if you enjoyed this week's video, give it a like, leave me a comment, or better yet, subscribe to make sure you always get your weekly dose of Geek. For more information on any of this week's top stories, you'll find links to the full coverage over on allhallowsgeek.com down in the description below. Until next time, keep it creepy.